What do you got in your notebook you want to talk about? We're not talking about enough. Your 2 cents on that subject, Tom. What do you got?
Let's talk about the Panthers, Rich, and Bryce Young, because I think that a lot, if you didn't completely turn off that game and go over to the other one on Monday night, I think that the Panthers' offensive performance definitely raised some questions, if not concerns, just about how it looks right now. I mean, it's rare that you have a new head coach like Frank Reich, his second game, and is already facing post-game press conference questions about giving up play calling. And they do have a bright young offensive coordinator in Thomas Brown. If Frank Reich at some point decides to turn it over to Thomas Brown, that wouldn't totally shock me during the course of the season. But they're not there yet, especially on a short week. To me, and just, talking to some people around the league, it does look like right now Bryce Young is swimming a little bit in that offense. Obviously, he's a guy with a really high capacity. He's a fast processor. He doesn't wear a wristband on the field. He can repeat things really well. None of that's an issue. But for whatever reason, you look a lot of times, they're snapping the ball with just a second or two on the play clock. It looks a little bit panicked. He's not able to just go play. And the beauty of Bryce Young at Alabama was he was a guy, you watched him, and everything was so instinctual. Everything was just this free flow, and he just went out and played. It doesn't look like that right now. They had receiver injuries in training camp. He missed a bunch of reps. I think that a big part of it is, and this is not just about the coaches, it's everyone. It's the offensive line play. It's the consistency with the wide receivers. He needs some help. Bryce Young needs some help around him. I think you'll see that incrementally get better here in the coming weeks. But that's definitely, considering he's the number 1 overall pick, that's something to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, the other rookie quarterbacks, real quick, Rich.
Yeah, go ahead.
In Houston, every week from talking to people there, you're seeing him get a little bit better. How about Tank Dell, who you look really smart if, like me, you drafted him in a fantasy league because everybody, when you go through Texans camp, was like, that guy's open on literally every single snap. He got 10 targets last week. The little guy from Houston, he's got potential to be a really good player here. And you're going to see C.J. Stroud. There's a lot of challenges on that team. The Texans have a long way to go personnel-wise, but you're seeing growth right now from C.J. Stroud. And then Anthony Richardson, obviously, in the concussion protocol, he's got to find ways at times to minimize that contact. You talk about Zach Wilson and the decision-making. The same thing with Anthony Richardson. I mean, he's a quarterback who's built like a tight end. We know he can take on the contact. There absolutely have been flashes in these games, as much when he's running it as throwing it, where you go, that's what Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen saw. That's why they took that guy number 4, because the potential is off the charts. But first game, bangs his knee. Second game, ends up in the concussion protocol. He's going to have to protect himself a little bit here, but make no mistake, the Colts are really excited about what they've seen from him when he's able to stay on the field.
You think he'll be ready at Baltimore, Anthony Richardson? Obviously, it's still early in the week. What do you think?
Yeah, the concussion protocol, has several different steps. Usually you can tell based upon what the practice participation is listed as through the week. So if Wednesday, Thursday, he's a non-participant, he's probably not going to make it because you got to go gradual. You got to come back to limited. Then they examine you, make sure your brain's functioning well. Then you go to full. They see how your body and your brain is functioning here. So if those steps don't accelerate in the next, let's call it 48 hours here, Rich, then he's not going to make it. If we see him out on the practice field, on Thursday, because he's not going to practice today. If he's out there tomorrow, then maybe there's still that slim hope. But I would not, the average for quarterbacks for anybody is 1 game missed for a concussion. At this point, I wouldn't hold my breath, but we'll see. It's all guided by doctors, not by the team.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.